Welcome to the Giving Room with Dave and David, where we encourage remarkable generosity, from amazing stories to easy to understand discussions about tools for giving that may just be right for you.
Welcome to the Giving Room with Dave.
David.
And today we have a special guest with us. This is our good friend Greg Murray.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're great.
We're great.
So glad you're here.
Good. So we're excited today to be talking about a bunch of different things, but to kind of diving in, Greg is a legend with Financial Peace University. He's led over 20 classes. But before we dive into that, Greg, tell us a little bit more about you and what all you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for perpetuating the myth that I'm a legend. That's great. Do I owe you money?
Maybe.
So, yeah. So like with regard to the Giving Room podcast, I don't even know where to start. The journey of finances started really when my wife and I got married. I came into...
That was like 3 years ago?
Right. Actually, Valentine's Day, it'll be 30 years.
All right.
So I came into the marriage with a couple of milk crates and a whole lot of debt. I promise you, that's the truth. No joke. And for the first 15 years of our marriage, we just went along. We had a couple of kids, and I was of the opinion that since she was going to stay home and raise the boys, that I would make the money and she would manage the money. I did a pretty okay job of making the money. That poor girl had two boys, one that is just like his father and one that is like his mom. But we said that they were God believes in payback and God has a sense of humor, if you know what I'm talking about. So here's mom trying to wrangle these two young boys with a dad who's out of town, or not out of town, but out of the house 41 nights out of the year because I have a side hustle that I've had for 20 some odd years as the public address announcer for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we were not managing our money together. And she was floundering. And we woke up one day and we found ourselves very, very in debt. So just to kind of back up, what I do here at the River, I've been with the River for 18 years. I started as the full-time production and imaging director way back in 2004. Now I do imaging and middays. And over the years, I have built a freelance production business. And Julie and I work with about 25 Christian radio stations around the country, and we produce for them. Julie manages the books, which she actually went to school for. And I do the radio stuff, which is my jam. I mean, I've been in radio since I graduated from college back in 1990, so like forever.
So what is imaging?
A good example of imaging.
The non-radio folks.
Yeah, the imaging of a radio station is the stuff that plays between the songs that talks about the radio station. Perfect example is a jingle. Yeah. So when you hear the bloop bloop of the River, that's stuff that I put together. That's the stuff that I work on. I've done that for my entire career has been radio. Back in 2000, when the Blue Jackets came into the NHL, I called my wife up and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about applying for the public address announcer's job." Her mouth said, "That's a really good idea." Her brain said, "You know nothing about hockey. What are you doing?" And lo and behold, I ended up getting the job, and I've been there since day one. So,
well, and that's the same story for FPU, right? We know nothing about money, so let's teach a class.
Yeah,
that's how that happened. Is that right?
Yeah. So I mean, get ahead to 2009. We found ourselves just languishing in consumer debt because we weren't working on it together.
Basically, credit card debt primarily.
Credit card debt. We had actually rolled a car that we no longer owned into a home equity line of credit. We had an addition done on our house that was beautiful, but we couldn't afford it. So we financed that. And, I was playing golf on credit cards because, I need a break from all this stress, right? And we woke up and we found ourselves over $70,000 in credit card debt. Yeah. And Julie said, "We have to do something about this." So a coworker of mine here at the River, his name is Mike Russell. We called him the Russelator. Always listened to this guy on the radio. Now, look, I was trying to produce stuff at the radio station. This is when I was still here full time. And Russell's over here listening to a podcast about this guy giving money advice. And I'm like, buddy, I got work to do, right? couple years later, I'm sitting in the class going, oh, I'm really bad with my money. So we spent the next 3 years digging ourselves out of that consumer debt.
How many years?
It took us about 3.5 years. 3.5 years of really, really hard work.
So the good news is it took you much longer to get into it.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of waded into it.
Yeah.
And, you wake up one day and it's like, you're $20,000 in debt. And then it's like, oh no, it's not 20 because I got this second mortgage and I got this and I got these 2 car payments and, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And we worked too hard to be in this situation. We just worked too hard. So we took 3.5 years to dig ourselves out of debt. And then I kind of took over and I said, if we do this, this, and this, we can pay off our house and have enough money set aside for our boys to go to college debt free. I was like all in, man. I was all in. And Julie's saying, yeah, okay. And this was her turn to go, I don't know how we're going to do this, but all right. And sure enough, the goal was to do it by the time we were 50, 2018. And June 31st of 2017, a full year early, we went into the bank and we wrote the last check for our home.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Completely
awesome.
Debt-free. And through that time, we've led, like 20 Financial Peace University classes. And if my memory serves me correctly, we've helped, people in those classes pay off almost $1 million in debt.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And then,
That's a lot of Jack.
so it took you the 3.5 years to get out of debt,
Yeah.
and then you continued with this sort of. This was all just like happenstance, right? There's no plan or anything.
Well, there is a plan. Yeah, right.
I figured-
There is a plan for FPU.
It's just magic, right?
Sure. No, it's really hard work. Look, I was doing freelance
Some folks
work
may
by
not
then.
even know what FPU is. So we
Yeah,
need to talk about.
FPU is Financial Peace University. And just to give you a real quick background, it was started by a guy by the name of Dave Ramsey, who by the age of 27 had amassed about $4 million in wealth in real estate. But he was 27 years old and banks started calling his loans because they saw this kid with a lot of money and a lot of leverage. And he went broke. I mean, like flat,
broke.
busted broke. And he started to look at the way money works, what he says, how gods and grandmas handle money. And what grew out of this was this program that has evolved into Financial Peace University, and now Dave Ramsey is very not broke, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Right.
And now his daughter's involved and
Yeah,
lots of other.
his daughter's involved. He's
radio
got an
people.
entire, he's got an entire, he's got a show and a nationally syndicated show, and the guy is doing just phenomenal stuff with helping people get out of debt, and that's his jam. It's helping people develop a plan, what he calls the 7 baby steps to get out of debt and have a plan for your money.
So obviously this show is all about encouraging remarkable generosity
Right.
and giving.
Right.
And one of the things that's really hard to do, it's hard to give when you're floundering in debt, when you
Exactly.
don't know how to manage your funds.
Exactly.
And so Greg, as we kind of dive into this, imagine, you a few years, 2009, right? You're
Right.
struggling with debt. I'm guessing you weren't being super generous at that time. Maybe you were, but how does that journey look like? So how do you get from debt to generosity, or should you be giving early? What does that
where does
process
giving
look like?
fit
Yeah,
in there?
right.
Because I
Where
think
does giving fit?
sometimes, we actually know stories where people have actually continued to make a gift to a charity, and they're basically like putting it on a credit card and then paying off the credit card
Sure.
and making the gift. And it may not be the way to do it. But
Right.
how does giving fit in this whole
So
process?
there are a lot of components to this.
Right.
I always said in classes, if you can't make it on 90% of your income, what makes you think that you can make it on 100% of your income?
So you're alluding to a tithe. then,
A tithe.
right?
So-
So part of the plan is to actually have a tithe.
as a Christian, we tithe. We're taught to tithe. It's not a salvation thing. It's a thing we do out of what is the word you use?
It's an obedience.
out of obedience.
Right.
We don't like that word.
We're told that we should tithe to the church, and that's what we do. We tithed while we were getting out of debt.
So during that 3.5 years,
yes,
it was part of the plan.
Yes, it was part of the plan. And actually, when you go through the Financial Peace University, it's called a budget. Right?
Right.
It's a piece of paper or an app where you write down all the money that you bring in and all the money that goes out. The first thing that you will find in Financial Peace University is giving. Now, if you are in crippling debt and you're trying to work your way out, are you going to do 10%? Maybe, maybe not. But giving is a very important part of your financial plan, because it teaches you to be outward focused, even if it's outward focused a little bit.
Well, even when I haven't said obedience is really the issue around tithing, but there's actually, isn't there in scripture, there's like a test, right? Like, isn't this one of those things where God's like test me on this.
Right.
And you probably can live better on your 90 or whatever percentage it is than you could on that.
Because it comes down to intentionality. If I'm intentional about giving for someone else, testing God in this and see what he'll do, then I can be intentional with how I manage the rest of what I have so that I can get out of debt and feed my family and, all the way up to pay off my house.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that the phrases from Financial Peace University, my wife and I went through the class. It was excellent. But we one of the frequently he phrases is live like nobody else, so that you can live like nobody else,
right.
And give like nobody else, right?
Right.
There's kind of that second add-on every once in a while,
right?
But so that journey, if you start with debt to like. As you manage your funds, you're able to do more and give more, and so kind of walk that through. I mean, I'm sure you have some great examples of people in your classes and kind of some stories of remarkable generosity and things that have come out of that. Do you have any examples for us that you could? Yeah.
Sure. One of the things that we have always asked in the class is if you had no debt whatsoever, no automobile debt, no student loan debt, and just because this is a theory thing, let's get crazy, and you don't even have a house payment, what would you do? And about 10% of the people can actually come up with something. I had one lady that she said, I want to go to Bora Bora. And I went, I have no idea where Bora Bora is. But now you've got a target, right? Mm-hmm. Now you've got a target. And it goes right back to intentionality. I've got a buddy who, he and his wife went through Financial Peace University the same time we did. And he retired at 48. He and I are, I think, the same age. He may be a year older than, and I'm like, 40? Are you kidding me? Come on. Now, right. He firefighter, so had a lot of things in place, career firefighter, but retired at 48. I heard a story about a guy and his wife. She ended up sick, and at urgent care, it was like the day before Christmas. They go in, she's getting checked out. And while she's in the back, a lady walks in and she's kind of hemming and hawing at the desk because she's not sure how much it's going to cost. Then another lady walks in and she's like, how much is this going to cost? I just don't, I don't know if I have enough money. He walks up and he's like, hey, I'm going to pay for mine. Don't say anything. And I want to pay for these two ladies. Evaluations, whatever and he said the nurse's look was like, are you nuts? He's like, floated out to it's a Christmas miracle for those two people, right?
Right.
So when you get your act together, then you can do outrageous stuff like that. Dave Ramsey talks about a family that, the guy's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, a friend of his, and, they bought a tractor trailer of bicycles for underprivileged kids, and the whole family went down and handed them out. Can you imagine being Santa Claus?
Right.
And literally just showering people with gifts.
Yeah,
because you're able to.
Yep, I worked with a wealthy gentleman who did that with books in an underprivileged neighborhood before, and he said it was actually the funnest thing he'd ever done in his life.
Right.
Just because he was actually giving books, and this is maybe hard to relate, for some of us, but these were kids that actually hadn't owned their own book yet. They'd gone to the library, but they had actually had a book that they could keep, and their faces. He's like, this is this is a transformative thing. And,
Yes.
And it is one of those outrageous, or we say remarkable generosity all the time. Like, cause that is remarkable. And it would be outrageous to bring a tractor trailer of books or bicycles
Right.
to people, but wouldn't it be so cool to do that? That's like,
Sure.
but it takes the plan to get there.
Sure. And the plan is, there's a lot of talk about you need to take care of your home. And a lot of times we get that confused with, I need to hoard all this money. I need to hoard all this money. I need to hoard all this money. Well, that's not, money is a tool. I mean, it's not, I got to have a bunch of it, right? But you get yourself out of debt, and I think the best example was my buddy who leads the FPU classes with me, talks about when we're in debt, we're looking down, we are in the mud, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, I have got to get this done. And then as you start to pull your way out, you can start looking up and you can start looking around. And then when you get through that, you can start looking out and how can I affect others because of what I've done? And that's where the outrageous generosity can come in. But it doesn't have to wait until you're out of, $100,000 of student loan and credit card debt. You can start with things like your time and your talents. And you know what? If you're doing some money, sure, that's great. But we have so many resources available to us that we don't have to wait until we get to, in Financial Peace University terms, baby step 7, where be outrageously wealthy and outrageously generous.
Yeah. Well, and for clarity over there, just so in the process, the tithing piece comes up at the beginning when we're doing the budgeting, and then step 7 in the baby steps is where sort of the outrageous generosity happens. Yeah, so it's great to just reiterate, there's giving all along. That
tithing piece is part of the plan. The plan is, for Dave Ramsey, the plan is the budget.
Yeah.
Is telling your money where to go and being intentional with your dollars.
So that's there first.
And then, part of that plan is giving.
That's fantastic. And then that ability, as you said, to look up then, I mean, you gave the example, the Christmas miracle piece for the two gals in the care. Like that's huge. That's huge for them. It was huge for them. So,
right.
But great to be able to do it, right? For the guy that was able to do it.
And look, that may be foreign to that idea may be foreign to people, watching the podcast. The idea of, why would I do that for somebody? But what we've found in our journey is when you stop worrying about money, and it can happen, when you stop worrying about money, you need something else to worry about, right? So you start looking around and you go, okay, who can I help? Or who can I bless?
Yeah.
Because they feel great, but as the giver, you're like, okay, that was really cool. And it feeds itself. It really does.
Yeah, those are great stories. I mean, if people wanted to, get into Financial Peace University, like where do they do that? How do they find it? I mean, I think like there's churches and you've done stuff, but if somebody's never heard of it and they're like, okay, this sounds great. And I probably do need to.
Yeah. So Financial Peace University is part of Ramsey Solutions now. I mean, it's become, Dave has set this thing up to live beyond him. So RamseySolutions.com is their website, and that is just a clearinghouse for the entire Ramsey suite of
so there's probably some self-help
services
things where you can do it on your own. There's probably
they've got an app, they've got a budgeting app. Financial Peace University is a big part of that, and what they've done, since the pandemic, there are a lot of in-person and a lot of we did our last couple of Financial Peace University classes virtually via Zoom. And there are so many ways to do it, whether you can go somewhere in person or whether you need to do it from your living room. The most important thing is actually doing it.
And I will say, too, one of the things that, for my wife and I, we were blessed to not have a lot of debt when we went through FPU. And what I will say is as you mentioned, you and Julie, early in your marriage, were not on the same page. Right. You weren't both kind of doing this together or working together. And so for my wife and I, early in our marriage, we decided to go through the Financial Peace University class because allowed us to have the same language, the same way to communicate about finances, and helps us then propel us to be more intentional. It helped us make a plan. We were not in trouble, but we were able to use those skills and the stuff we learned there to be able to make a plan and to be more generous as well. And I'm not planning on retiring at 48, but
aren't you past 48 already?
Hey, not even close to 48 yet. But the idea, though, still, especially, I highly recommend, especially if you're young, to do it. But also if you're older, but any stage you should do it, whether you're in debt or not. It's still a great experience to go through to help you understand how to communicate about finances better and to help you. It's a great way to help you make a plan as well.
Money problems and money fights, one of the top 3 things that are stressors and are causes of breakups of marriage. Money is a big deal because we need money, right? Now, you want to talk about us not being on the same page. After we had been married about 6 months, I informed Julie that everybody had a car payment. Everybody had credit card debt, and she just needed to accept that. Guys, it is a miracle that she did not smother me with a pillow before our first anniversary.
It's sort of a daily, ongoing miracle, right?
And thanks. Yeah. We can edit that in post, right? But the thing was, I was of the opinion, right, that it's just debt. It's just a car payment. I can afford at the time, this is 30 years ago, I can afford a $200 a month car payment. Well, now the average car payment's $500-$600 over like 7 years. Right. I mean, it's crazy, right? And I don't drive a car with the car payment. I drive a nice car, but I wrote a check for it. I have 2 sons who watched their mom and dad go through this. My oldest son is driving a car newer than mine. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. No car payment, owns it outright. Just had a repair done, and it was not a cheap repair. And I said to my wife last night, I went, you know what? He actually had the money where he didn't have to put that on a credit card and pay it off over time. He's 26. How many 26-year-olds can do that? How many 46-year-olds can do that? I saw an article 2 days ago that said 60% of people can't cover a $400 expense. Okay, we're like one of the richest countries in the world. Can't cover a $400. What is wrong with us? What is wrong? I mean, look, the world is messed up enough, but throw this on top of it, and it's like, come on. We need a plan. There are a lot of plans out there. There are a lot. I mean, Susie Orman. There is Ramit Sethi, who I listen to his podcast all the time. He did I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He's got a lot of stuff steeped in the Dave Ramsey culture. But what I have found is Financial Peace University is the shortest distance between 2 points. It is the most conservative. It is the most direct way to get from being in debt to wealth. And anybody can do it. I know because I used to be really stupid with money. No, I was really stupid with money. Before we got married, I actually had a lawyer call me and threaten to sue me over a cell phone that I had bought and didn't pay for. It's like, you need to bring it or we're coming after you. Now look, this was the 90s and it was one of those big bulky. It was one of those bag phones. And basically I bought it so that I could feel cool. And it was like $25 a minute, right? For the phone, right? So, but Financial Peace University has, it literally changed our lives. When we started it, it was like, we just got to get rid of some debt. We would have never said, in 13 years where we are now. We wouldn't have even dared dream that, but you can do it.
Yeah. And then that's what empowers you to be.
And that empowers you to be generous and to be able to help others.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. That's the clue. I mean, we use intentionality a lot, even when we're talking about some like planned gift opportunities for people. Like that's really what that means. Planned giving just means that you had to think about it, right? There was some sort of a planning process to get you there. And this is the condition precedent to that, right? So before we can get to some of those things, we just need to get to some of these things.
You take one small step at a time. And, even if you're watching this podcast and you're like, you know what, I'm getting out of debt. Greg, you've opened the heavens to me. Then you've made a decision, and yesterday is your worst day, right?
Right. Then
it is up from here, and you get intentional, and yesterday is your worst day.
That's fantastic. No,
Awesome.
I appreciate that. And we'll make sure, everybody can find you in different places too. So
I'm usually working
all of the hats, right? That's
well,
a good
yeah.
thing.
Now we're empty nesters. Both boys are out. They're doing their own thing. They're successful, and we just kind of look at each other. And my wife's like, "Are you still working?" I got work to do, honey. I got to keep doing stuff. So.
Well, it has been awesome to have Greg here with us and to talk about Financial Peace University, or just giving when you're dealing with debt and what you need to do about that. So we're so glad you're here. If you want to find Greg, the best place to find him is at any Columbus Blue Jackets game. Just listen to him talk to you as the game goes on. There's other ways, but you can also learn more when you go to the givingroompodcast.com. Make sure to follow wherever you're listening to us today. Again, thank you so much. Again, Greg, thank you for being here with
Thanks,
us.
guys.
Appreciate
it. We really appreciate you being part of the Giving Room today.
The Giving Room podcast is brought to you by Giving Design LLC, where we help ministries and their donors utilize planned giving to change the world. Go to givingdesign.com to learn more. As always, a huge thank you to River Radio Ministries for sponsoring and producing this podcast. Go to riverradio.com to listen or learn more.